Wobble here. I am going to teach you how to make something bright and not harsh using notch EQs today, right? This is a pretty, I don't know, it's a technique I use all the time on pretty much everything I do, whether that's like mixing a whole track for somebody or on individual elements of my own music. So basically, we're going to recreate this, right? And what this is doing, right, is it's getting rid of little resonances in a high signal, like a high-end heavy kind of signal. It's a bright synth, right? And that's going to take out all the little harsh resonances that make it kind of rough, like makes your feelings hurt. It's kind of hard to listen to. It's grating. But we're gonna take that stuff away and still keep it bright. Like this is the sound that we're trying to get to. I'll play you the whole thing, right? This is the sound on its own, right? Really bright, sparkly synth, and that's glued together with this. Bring this down a hair. All right, and that fits in with this. Yeah, so it's like, you know, dancey stuff we bump at the club or whatever. But whatever's being the point. The main thing here is how do we get this to be bright and sit nice in the mix and be clean and crispy without getting harsh, right? So let's talk about why it gets harsh. When something is harsh and it has that right, a big part of it is because we're getting resonant frequencies and stuff building up, particularly in the range of 2K to 5K, right? That's where a lot of this happens and where it's like really rough. Part of it is because that's where your hearing is more sensitive, right? Another part of it is because that's where a lot of different kinds of signals have information in that range, right? So it's kind of this perfect storm for stuff to get a little unruly. So let's open up a new EQ8, right? Okay, cool. So now there's a certain way you have to set up EQ8 to do it. So usually I will leave my top and bottom as either a filter or a shelf. So let's go with the shelf. All right, and then the rest should all just be like bell-shaped filters, right? Okay, cool. So now we're going to turn all these on. All right, all right, let's get rid of this one for now. Then you're going to highlight all of them, right? And set the Q as tight as it'll go, right? Up to 18. So now what this is going to do is make all this very tight so we can isolate specific problems, right? Okay. So let's put the gain back to 0, right? And normally when I do this, basically what we're gonna do is gonna grab a band and sweep through here to look for any of that ringing, resonant stuff, and you'll know it when you hear it. There's kind of two ways to do this in the Ableton EQ8. I dig this little headphone thing because that just lets you isolate what the frequency you're sweeping through as you do it, and when you let go, it goes back. Right? I'm going to solo this, and I'm going to actually put this on loop so we can just focus on this little chunk. Right, you see how it turns blue, and then you can just focus on the frequency you're trying to filter out. I'm having too much fun. Anyway, so let's sweep through. I don't do a ton of this in the super lows because you can create phase problems for yourself. Getting low end clean is kind of a different thing, but so we're going to start here at about 1K and just sweep up. That's one. Oh, I'm being a dummy. This would be way worse. I had my other filters turned on. Don't do that. Yeah. Now it's gonna get bad. You'll hear it in a second. Go back to 1K, right? Sweep up again. There it is. Gross. Right. So that's one. You hear how it's just ringing? That's like this isn't. It's not contributing a lot to the music here. What's actually happening in the part. It's just going doo, right? Let's keep going. It's another one. Just a ring. Right? It doesn't sound great. Yeah, another bad one. Gross. Can I able to... Whoa, mouse. Hey. Nasty. These resonances really high up, or like, I think those are some of the worst ones. Also, look at the range it's in. 4.17K, right? So that's right in that range where your ears are most sensitive. The reason your ears are most sensitive is because that's where a lot of speech information sits, right? So this is an area we have to check a lot. Oh wait, that's hard one. Yep, there it is. Eee. Ouchies. Don't like it. Not great either, right? And sometimes I'll even have to open up two of these. Like I'll sit here and copy it and paste in a new one, right? And just put two of them next to each other, right? So let's take this. Let's just set this, reset this, and we're gonna keep sweeping, right? Ugh, 587. That's really ringing. It's a little lower than I would normally start, but that's such a gnarly resonance. I would pull it out, right? So it's another one. That's one. Yup, there's a bunch of these. I can hear them. Oh, maybe. Well, not terrible. They're coming in and out. That's what you want. So what I'm actually going to do is widen this up. Just put something a lot less substantial right here. So this is something to AB, right? Before I was doing this work with one filter, or one EQ8, excuse me. Now I'm doing two and just going for deep cuts on all these notches. So to AB this, I normally will group them, right? Then we could turn both these on and off at the same time. Now let's AB. Let's see which one I like better. This is, I think, taking care of a lot more problems, right? Let's hear it in the whole context of the synth group. Now the track. Let's see how we're doing. All right, cool. So that's sitting better. It got rid of that harsh problem, but now it's actually getting a little too dark, right? I talked about that earlier, right? So at this point, there's kind of two things you can do, right? One thing, and I usually will use a combination of both, is we have to go in and adjust the gains of all these kind of manually, right? Which takes a little time, but I think it's well worth it. The other thing we can do is instead of boosting with another EQ8, which, you know, you could do a little bit, but it has a sound. It gets a little tinny sometimes. I'm not a big fan of the EQ8 boost sound. And generally, when you want to boost highs, you want to use the best EQ you can with a nice color to it. So we'll talk about that in a second. First, I'm just going to see if we can get away doing less of this, right? One reason I like doing this in EQ8, other filters have this sound too, other EQs rather, is you have the scale knob, so you can control to what degree this is done, right? So let's just listen here again. I'm just going to compare. We see where we want to hear that harshness and then start to take it away. So this feels pretty good to me. Let's AB it against my other EQ8 here. I like the new ones better. It sounds more mellow. Let's hear the whole thing. final mix either. I'm trying to glue these together so it just functions correctly in this synth group, right? So at this point, if it's still a little too dark, but we can't find that happy place, right, in the scale adjustment, I'll go ahead and actually boost highs again, right, without all this stuff. But we want to be boosting the stuff that isn't that like resonant crap, right? Generally, to boost highs, you need a really good EQ. Get the best one you can. A lot of these analog emulations are awesome. Like this Mag EQ4 is sick. This is one of the best ones that I've used. There's also many other good ones. You know, there's like the Waves SSL. Any of the API emulations are good. Lindell Audio makes a bunch. Like there's a lot of really good EQs, right? And this is where I use some third-party stuff. As far as stock Ableton, I wouldn't use EQ8. I would probably use the new channel EQ. This to me sounds better than EQ8, especially for boosting highs. Just listen. I dig this. This is pretty good. Let's A/B it against the Mag Audio. Right, now we're going to hear in the whole context of the track. Yeah, this has a little bit more of a vibe on it. I'm gonna rock with this one. Cool. Okay, so anyway, what else? So this is basically how to do the technique. One thing you might be wondering, if you're using a different EQ, like say you don't have this little headphone solo thing, you might be saying like, oh, well, how do I find these EQ frequencies, right? Let's just turn that off. Let me open up something that doesn't have this, like maybe a Q10. I could type, I promise. Sorry, let me go into my plugins, Q10, right? This is just like a Waves version of an EQ. It's pretty old, but still works well. So if you don't have that like solo button, right? Here's a totally different EQ. Technique is the same, right? So we're gonna say, okay, these are all set to bell, which is what we want. Actually, let's go put it in surgical mode, right? Because we're only trying to scoop out the crap. We're trying to just get in and get out here, right? So now we're going to select all of our bands, right? Turn them on. I guess I won't do it. Fine, whatever. Now, here's the difference. Instead of like clicking and dragging down to hear what we're pulling out, we're going to drag it up, right? And sweep and just listen for when something really jumps out at us, right? So, let me, I'm going to solo this one track we're working on. You know that? That resonance, right? Whatever that is. So let me just, I want to actually loop this again. So we're hearing the same thing. Hear that? I'm no singer, but you can hear it, right? That's the thing that's kind of getting in the way of stuff. So when we hear it jump out, right, you're just going to take the gain and flip it down. Bring it all the way back, right? Let's do that with some more. Also a gnarly one. So we're going to pull that out. You can do it by ear too. Yep, there's another one. That's a bad one. out. That's that one I want to pull out a lot of. Ugh, that hurts. Wow. Okay, that's got to go all the way out. Not great, but we're gonna do a little dip. All right. Pull that out. A lighter dip here. Okay, cool. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, shit. But yeah, okay, good. So we're going to keep that, and then I would maybe use the same technique. This is making it darker on this EQ, so I would put my high boost back in here. And I would A-B this other EQ against my Ableton version. And let's hear it in the mix. Try one more thing. I'm kind of leaning towards the first version of this, and the Q10 take on it. Except I'm gonna just make some of this not quite as drastic. It sounds like it's taking out a little too much. So let me just take this. Come on, why is my mouse funny today? Maybe take this band. That one was kind of crazy, but maybe like this one. Oh wait, yeah, these guys. Oh, wrong one. Just make that a little less drastic, because it is easy to get heavy-handed with this technique. I will warn you about that. So you don't want to take out too much. You want to A/B a lot. You want to hear it in the context of the mix. Flip my mouse over. Maybe that's why it's not working. Alright. Nope, Ableton still wins. So the one I'm going with is this. This is the first time I did it when I was putting it together. So as you can see, the scale is at 72%, and it's leaving in a little bit more high end than when I doubled up like this. So I'm happy with that. I'm probably gonna ditch that and then really dial it in at mix down. But that's the basic technique. That's how to do it with the Ableton EQ stock stuff. If you have the third-party thing you want to add, I would say go for it. What else should I add to this? I mean, that's pretty much the technique. It's notch EQing to pull out harshness. You might want to use a plugin. I just did a video for this guy, the Brainworx Refinement, which is kind of like an automated process that lets you do some of this. And maybe you combine techniques. I know another good one is it's called Soothe by like OEK Sound. I'll link to it in the thing. But anyway, so this should be it. Let me know if you have questions. If you like this, like the video, subscribe. I'm going to do more of this. Leave me feedback. I mean, I have a lot of topics I want to talk about. So, oh, and then of course, if you like the track, let me know about that too. I'm still writing it, so it'll probably come out. I'm trying to get it done before the end of the year. So, Let me know about that part too. Like, whatever. Like, subscribe, comment. You know what to do. Peace.